Hello, my name is Matthias and welcome to the FPL Scope and my team selection video for game week 20. And it's the first video in a while because I've had some issues the last few weeks because I broke my arm right before Christmas. There's also been the holiday season, so I've basically been using most of my time to get better in terms of my arm. I got surgery on it on December 23rd, and I'm now in the process of getting back into full fitness again with my arm. But at least now I'm able to make content properly, so I'm gonna ease into some content in FPL, starting with the team selection video for game week 20. But anyways, it is a new year, 2025. Happy New Year to everyone around the world, basically. Everyone watching this video right here. I hope you have a really good 2025, and I hope it's better, at least injury-wise, than what mine was for 2024. I'm hoping that for myself, that I get back to full health and that I still stay healthy for most of the year or all the year, basically. But either way, there's been a lot of things that's been happening during Christmas. I've actually done pretty well in FPL, not really this past game week, but we'll get into that pretty soon. I've also put out my free hit team every single game week on Twitter as well, so I have been keeping that up. So I'm gonna check up on the score again and how my free hit teams, because I've done this since game week 1. I've made free hit teams basically, and I've tallied up the score to see how it compares to my own team. So I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to have the free hit team for game week 19, look at the score from game week 19 with the team that I selected for that on Twitter. Then I'm also going to present a game week 20 free hit team as well for you guys, and then end up with the last part of my video, which is going to be my plans for game week 20, where I have a lot of things to do because a lot of things happened in game week 19 that affects my players in game week 20, basically. So let's first and foremost get into game week 19 and what happened there. Just quickly before that, I've had some really good game weeks. I think I last made a video for game week like 16, or like a last proper video. I made like an update with my arm and stuff during Christmas, or like, yeah, I think it was December 25th or 26th or whatever. But anyways, during the Christmas period, I've done really well. I've gone up in rank. I was all the way up to 40k, I think, at one point in game week 18, I think. But then this game week, I dropped down to 79k again because I had a bit of a poor game week overall, which I'm going to take you through right now. But all in all, really happy with my rank currently. And I'm pretty happy with my team as well, despite some really big changes needed for game week 20 especially. But going into game week 19, not the best. As you can see from the goalkeeper situation, I had Fabianski injured already, and then Sanchez was rested, as he usually is for Chelsea in those midweek games. Really annoying. That meant that I had only 10 players playing because I didn't have a goalkeeper. Of course, Fabianski got injured at the time where I needed him to play, but at the same time, he played Liverpool, so he probably would have had minus points anyway. So I might have been lucky that Fabianski wasn't there to play, even though I think Areola got like 2 or 3 points because he had a lot of saves against Liverpool. But yeah, didn't have a goalkeeper. Sanchez, again, just bites me in the ass pretty much every single game week. Very unhappy with him. So annoyed that I went with him rather than Marcels in game week 6 when I could have gone with Sels, who looks like a better goalkeeper overall for the rest of the season as well. So yeah, Sanchez again letting me down as usual. Nothing new there, even though he has got me a couple points at least during the holiday season. So yeah, 0 points from Sanchez. Also, the Arsenal defenders, really unhappy to see them conceding against Brentford. I had some good hopes that they would keep a clean sheet against Brentford, and they did produce a really good defensive outing once again. But yet again, they just keep conceding from like limited chances that they get against them. They do tend to concede some goals here and there, Arsenal. So yeah, didn't get a clean sheet for Timber or Gabriel. And to make matters worse, Timber also got a yellow card, which means that he is suspended for game week 20, which means I have another player that I need to swap out eventually. The one player that I did swap out last game week was Rico Lewis. I sold him to get Munoz because I figured Man City would concede because they have been really bad lately, but Man City managed to keep a clean sheet in their game against Leicester. Probably should have just kept Lewis because he played Leicester, but at the same time, I think Leicester normally scores in that game. It was actually a pretty even game, and Leicester could have easily scored a goal or two in that match in general. I did bring in Munoz. That was the main part. I wanted him against Southampton. I figured he would keep a clean sheet, and I figured he would be potentially getting some attacking returns. He lost his clean sheet from one huge chance, which was basically down to Kyle Walker-Peters being amazing and creating a big chance for Dibbling, who scored. And that was basically the only big chance that Southampton had that game, and Crystal Palace conceded from that. And on top of that as well, Munoz had a really huge chance to score, but he missed. It was saved right at the line, so could have been a huge score for Munoz. I think Lewis as well was kind of lucky to get a clean sheet finally. He never gets clean sheets. I've had him since game week 3, and he's been terrible, kind of like Sanchez. But this time around, Lewis got the clean sheet, and my new guy, Munoz, got nothing with 2 points. So again, not the best start to the game week. Quite unhappy with that, but at the same time, really happy to have Munoz over Lewis for the next few game weeks going forward. So yeah, not unhappy with the transfer, but kind of unhappy with the result, I guess, for this game week. But in future game weeks, I think that could be a really nice move for me with Munoz coming in, because I think he is a really good player to have currently in FPL. Speaking of really good players to have currently in FPL, Mohamed Salah, auto captain, just going to captain him for the rest of the season, going to have him for the rest of the season most likely, even if he does start not performing at some point. Who knows? He's on pace for like 400 plus points, which is absolutely crazy. So yeah, I'm never going to back against him, always going to captain him, especially this past game week against West Ham, because I know what Salah usually does against West Ham. And yeah, once again, he was terrific. He could have had even more points. I think he was involved in 7 big chances, which is absolutely insane. So yeah, Salah captain, easy choice. Palmer vice captain, also quite easy choice, but again, he blanked against Ipswich. I thought that Chelsea would have a decent game week there, but they lost 2-0, which serves them right, because I'm not really happy with Chelsea, with Sanchez and all those guys, and Palmer sort of being annoying for me in the last like 5-6 game weeks. When I've captained him, he's done not so well. When I didn't captain him, he did really well. So yeah, Palmer 2 points. Not really too fussed. I'm going to just keep Palmer as well. He looks like a really good asset as well. Was unlucky not to score. Had hit the crossbar, I think, twice maybe in that game. So yeah, kind of unlucky not to score against Ipswich, and kind of a surprising result, but I think Chelsea are still really good to go going forward. So Palmer, no issues there. There are issues, however, with Jared Bowen. That was a very, very late substitution that I started Bowen rather than starting Mykolenko. In the end, it ended up getting the same amount of points, 1 point for Bowen, 1 point for Mykolenko. Bowen close to getting an assist pretty early in that match against Liverpool. Had a pass to Paqueta, who just slipped basically when he was trying to shoot and missed. Other than that, not really too much from Bowen. Didn't really have too high hopes against Liverpool. I was close to selling Bowen this past game week as well, but I just managed to keep him, because I figured I wanted the transfers in case something happened. And something happened to Bowen. He got injured, got subbed off with like 15 seconds left before he got his second point. He stepped off the pitch, which meant that he only got 1 point, which was kind of annoying, especially after Trent Alexander-Arnold scored right before that and got a huge haul, and I don't have Trent in my team either. So yeah, not the best 7 minutes for me right there, with Trent scoring, Bowen getting injured, and being subbed out for 1 point. Rodgers, however, was the huge plus this game week, 11 points from him. Fantastic goal and an assist. This is why I really like Rodgers and why I haven't really thought about selling him all season. I've had him since game week 1. I think he is like the only player that I've had since game week 1. Up until this point, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, pretty much every single other player I've swapped out, which is difficult to say. But Rodgers, going to keep for the entire season, I think. He plays for Aston Villa in a really attacking position, and he shows every single game week that he is such a lethal player when he gets the chance. Sadly, again, it's kind of like with Bowen and Timber, this is the running theme this game week. Rodgers got a yellow card, which means that he got 5 yellow cards in total for the season, and he has to be suspended for the home game against Leicester next week, which is, again, a huge letdown considering how many other issues I got with my team. I really would have wanted Rodgers to be able to play in Game Week 20. Sadly, he is not going to be able to do that, but at least I got 11 points from him in Game Week 19 to make up for it, so can't really complain too much about Rodgers. I'd rather him get 11 points and not playing Game Week 20, be suspended for Game 20, than him blanking this game weekend and playing in Game Week 20, where he could also potentially blank. At least now I get to play another player in his place. So yeah, 11 points from Rodgers. Happy with that suspension. Not ideal, but not the worst either, I guess. Isak, 7 points, just keeps delivering. There's really no reason to go without Isak currently. Really important player to have, and luckily I've had him for quite a while now, or like a couple game weeks where he's been really, really good. So yeah, happy to have Isak. Cunha, once again, we're back to the suspension thing. There's going to be a lot of red flags for me in Game Week 20, as you'll see. With Cunha also suspended now, finally got his ban, but he's only banned for 1 game, which is kind of interesting for me. So I'm not quite sure what I want to do with Cunha just yet, and I might also save the transfer there because I have so many other issues to solve in Game Week 20. I might just save the transfer on as a striker or for the striker position this game week. So I might just keep Cunha for the long haul as well. I think he's been really, really good. He's one of the best strikers in the game so far. And I think despite his tough fixtures, I think he is actually a decent hold as well. And I've known now since I sold Mbeumo after he looked kind of like iffy with some tough fixtures. He sort of punished me since I sold him. So and same with Anthony Robinson as well for Fulham. I had him at the start of the season, sold him on my wildcard in Game Week 6, and I wish I just kept him all this time. So I think that's sort of the lesson I want to have this year. Like players like Rodgers, Gabriel, for example, maybe even Cunha now, and Mbeumo, like players that are really good for you. There's really no rush to sell them. So I might just keep Cunha for the long haul, but I'm still not quite sure. Joe Pedro is one of those players. I think he has really good value still. He finally showed some promise this game week with 9 points. 2 kind of lucky assists, to be honest. So yeah, not the best in terms of performance from Joao Pedro, but he got 2 assists, which was more than enough for me. 9 points, which was really helpful in a game week that was otherwise pretty lackluster, apart from Salah and Rodgers, pretty much. So yeah, ended up getting 68 points from that. Dropped down from around 40k to around 80k, which isn't the best, almost double my rank, but at the same time, pretty good position to be in currently in FPL. On my bench, Fabianski was injured. Fernandes was suspended in Game Week 19 because of the red card he got in Game Week 18, which was kind of annoying as well. And then Mikolenko and Castagna got 1 point each. And I was really close. Like, I wasn't not quite sure going into Game Week 19 what I was going to do in defense. I was thinking potentially starting Lewis, but I wanted to sell him. I wanted to get Munoz, so I did that. And I also was looking to potentially start Mikolenko or Castagna rather than Bowen. If Castagna was Robinson, for example, I think I would have just kept him because I think Robinson has more attacking threat, as he showed with the assists that he got in the game. But since Castagna isn't as good offensively, I decided to bench him. I decided to bench Mikolenko as well, seeing as I can't really trust Everton too much either in a game against a tougher opposition. And in the end, didn't really matter. Bowen, who I ended up starting rather than Mikolenko and Castagna, also got 1 point. So regardless of who I would have started, I would have gotten 1 point in the end. But I was really torn between what to do there in my defense. I was also pondering whether to keep Lewis, which I probably should have done. But yeah, I just really wanted Munoz because I thought he was going to be a really good player against Southampton, which almost came through, but wasn't really how it ended up being. But anyways, that was Game Week 19 for me. Okay score-ish, not the best. Some big issues with suspensions and stuff like that, which I'll get to with the Game Week 20 plans. But before that, let's go into the wildcard that I proposed, or not wildcard, the free hit that I proposed for Game Week 19, and also the Game Week 20 free hit that I'm going to propose to you guys before we get into my plans for Game Week 20 and how I'm going to fix all the suspensions and issues that I have with my team currently. So let's move on to the draft for the free hits in Game Week 19 and see how that did. 59 points, actually even worse than my own team. Some highlights here. I did actually include Watkins in the team. He got 12 points. Also had Rodgers for 11 points, but I did not have Joao Pedro, who got 9 points. And other than Salah, Watkins, and Rodgers, didn't really get any points at all. Also picked Son, who got 0 points. I think that's the last time I've picked Son in anything, pretty much. I think he's kind of done. Spurs also look kind of done. I don't know. I don't really trust Spurs anymore. So yeah, not the best pick there. I also backed the Crystal Palace defense, as you can see here as well. Munoz was in the free drafts, as well as Henderson in goal for Palace against Southampton. I figured they wouldn't concede, but Southampton found a way to score and punished me for that matter. Gabriel, 2 points as well. Unlucky to concede against Brentford. Cucurella, I thought Chelsea would do a lot better against Ipswich, but they didn't really. Cucurella got 1 point. Palmer got 2 points, and Tosin on my bench also got 1 point. So not the best game week for Chelsea either. Then I have Isak in the team as well, like I did with my own team. And that's pretty much the only difference between this team and my team, my actual team. So not the best for the free draft, but I have had some good weeks during Christmas for the free hit selections as well. Had some nice picks and I had some nice scores. So overall this season, I've gained 1,269 points, or like projected, I guess, or that's what I would have had if I had a free hit every single game week and I would have selected the free hit squads that I've presented to you guys since game week 1. And that would have been a rank of 33k, which is decent at this point. That's going to go up later on in the season, especially as we get game weeks where there's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of double game weeks and blank game weeks, one after another. So it's going to be it's going to be more useful to have a free hit every single game week eventually this season. But yeah, I figured it's just a nice way to look at how I do compared to like my ideal team every single game week. So this would be my ideal team for game week 19. Wasn't really ideal because I lost out on a lot of points. Didn't have Trent against West Ham. I probably should have seen that coming, but I didn't have enough money in the bank, I guess, because I had Son. So yeah, not the best selection for game week 19. But at least I made up for it by having some good selections in game week 18 and 17 on my Twitter account, basically, where I'd done that before the game week started. At least I haven't been cheating. But overall, 1,269 points. That's more than I have currently. About 20, 30 points more. So yeah, it's pretty good. But this game week rank of 7.4 million. That's pretty bad, but at least Rodgers and Watkins, I did have a lot of faith in them. I had Watkins in my wildcard draft as well. I haven't been able to do a wildcard draft like properly yet, but I did put out a wildcard draft before Game Week 19 on Twitter. Also probably going to do that another time for Game Week 20 as well. I thought about doing it for this video, making like a small like wildcard team, what I would select for Game 20, but I'm most likely going to do that and post that on Saturday for you guys to see, and have some baseline for me to go into the weekly wildcard draft video again next week when I'm going to be back into making regular content again. But yeah, this was Game Week 19 free hit draft. Let's look into the future for Game Week 20 and my free hit draft in that game week. So these are the players that I've selected for that team. Let's start with the goalkeeper, and I think Everton are just pretty poor offensively, so I'm gonna back teams that play at home to Everton quite a lot. So I've selected the goalkeeper from Bournemouth, Kepa Arrizabalaga, who plays at home to Everton. I think that's a decent chance for clean sheet. I've also followed up with having Kirkus in defense from Bournemouth. I think he's a really good option as well. You could go with Huijsen if you don't have enough money for Kirkus. And again, I don't advise you to use your free hit. I think it's going to be more useful later on in the season. But if you are in a pinch, which I am sort of this game week, maybe you should select this team and do a free hit draft like I've done here. But normally I wouldn't really recommend doing free hits, but I know people do it every single game week. Some people somewhere are using their free hit chip, so I figured I should give them an alternative to see what the best possible team is for Game Week 20 at least. But yeah, back in the Bournemouth defense against Everton, I do know that it is usually quite a high scoring game, so even though both teams are better defensively than offensively, it could still be like a high scoring game. But yeah, I'm just going to back the Bournemouth defenders at home to Everton because Everton are pretty poor offensively. But now that Armando Broja is back, maybe they'll do something better. Maybe they'll look a bit better. But I still don't really back Everton to score in any game, basically. I also have Anthony Robinson for Fulham against Ipswich at home. I have Castagne as backup on the bench. I think Robinson has just tremendous attacking threats, 7 assists so far this season. He's been absolutely amazing. Should have kept him I had him Game Week 1 and sold him on my Game Week 6 wildcard. Should have just kept him because now he's 5.0. He's gone up 0.5 in price throughout the season, and he's really, really good. And Ipswich at home, I think it's still a good fixture, despite Ipswich really impressing last time around against Chelsea. But I think Fulham are really good, especially at home. So I think there's a decent chance for Robinson to get a clean sheet and potentially some attacking returns as well. And then I've learned from my past mistakes. Trent is in the team now, both in the free draft and potentially in my own team for Game Week 20 as well. Playing against Man United at home, that's a good fixture, especially now how Man United are looking currently. I think that's a really good fixture, so I've actually tripled up on Liverpool players because I think Liverpool have a tendency to do really well against Man United. We all remember the 7-0 not too long ago. So Trent is in the team. Obviously, Salah is there. Captain, no doubt about it. He's going to be the best captain choice. And especially at home to Man United, that's usually a game where he's really, really, really good. So yeah, easy to back him. I've actually not gone with Palmer this week, maybe just because he's blanked 3 out of the last 4 game weeks, I think. I still think he's a decent option, obviously, in this match, but I've actually gone Foden, who also has a really good record against West Ham. I've seen him score several times against West Ham in the past, and yes, Foden hasn't had the best season, but he's still a really good player, and I think he's going to come good now against West Ham. And City are showing some signs of improvement. I still think it's going to be an open game. I think West Ham have a decent chance to get points in that game, even though Bowen is out and West Ham are really struggling. I think Man City are just really poor at the moment, but they've shown some signs offensively, and I think Foden as well has shown some positive signs as well. So I think this could be the game where he finally explodes and gives a lot of points to anyone that has him already. Luis Diaz has been playing as the number 9 for Liverpool lately. He's been scoring a lot of points lately, so I think he's a really good player to have, especially against Man United. I did think about having Kakpo as well up front, but he's listed as a forward and he's on 4 yellow cards and could be suspended if he gets another one. So I think he's going to be on a bit of a minutes restriction, as we've seen with Nicholas Jackson, for example. The players that are 1 yellow card away from being suspended are sometimes subbed off early just in case, because usually their teams are leading already. They don't really want to risk it. They don't really want to risk them being suspended, so they get subbed off. So I think Luis Diaz is just a better option, seeing as he is not under that suspension tightrope as Gakpo is. But Gakpo is also a nice 1 week punt, or potentially a long-term punt as well. He is the one that I did consider bringing in myself, but the suspension thing is just slightly off-putting for me in this game because I think Diaz is a better choice. He's also playing as the number 9, been really, really good. It could be Jota playing in that position, so that's the one tricky part with Luis Diaz, especially now that Jota is back. But I'm going to back Diaz to start again because he's been in such good form lately, and I think he can continue that against Man United at home this game week. Then we have Anthony Gordon. Newcastle look absolutely terrific, so I'm going to back them in the game against Spurs. Spurs don't have any defenders left at all, it seems like. Their defense is terrible, so I've backed Newcastle with both Gordon and Isak. I think this could be another huge result for Newcastle, who are in absolutely fantastic form. I could have had Lewis Hall as well in defense. He's probably the one big miss that I don't have in the free draft, but there's just a lot of good defenders this game week, so didn't go with him. But I think Gordon could be really, really good. Even Murphy at Murphy at right wing could be a really good option for Newcastle, but I think Gordon is just slightly more high profile, and I do have enough money in the bank to have him in the team. So yeah, he joins the team. Gabriel Jesus has shown really fine form lately, and I think against Brighton he could easily score. Brighton aren't really in the best form lately, and I think Jesus has just been in terrific form. So he's another really good striker option. I think there's some really nice differential striker punts you can go for currently that I'm looking into myself as potential Cunha replacements. But I think Jesus for this game week against Brighton, with Havertz still, like he's out with illness last time around, I think Jesus is going to start up front and play most minutes there as well in this game week as well. So I'm going to keep him for this game week for the free draft at least. Isak, again, playing against Spurs who don't really have a backline. Isak is also in tremendous form. He's the most informed player outside of Salah in the league right now, so he makes sense as well. And then Ollie Watkins, who I did say was going to be a good option for Game Week 19 and Game Week 20. I think he's a really good option. Even if I was wildcarding this week, I might select him when I'm making my wildcard draft later on today. But Leicester at home is a really good fixture. The one downside is the fact that Rodgers is not playing. He's usually the one that serves up the passes for Watkins. He's been so good in terms of feeding Watkins a lot of chances this season. Watkins hasn't really been the best at converting them, but at the same time, Watkins is a really player to have. Leicester at home is a fantastic fixture to target. I think Leicester are absolutely awful defensively, especially. So Watkins makes a lot of sense. He's actually my vice captain as well behind Salah in this game week. So yeah, Watkins is in the team. On the bench, I have Areola basically because he's the cheapest possible player to start. I think he's going to start. I think Fabianski is still out with his head injury, but doesn't really matter. Kepa's going to start anyway against Everton, so you don't really need a backup goalkeeper. On the bench, I also have Mikkel Damsgaard from Brentford. He has been a really good player this season. He was good in the Euros a couple game weeks, a couple years back. And he's kind of struggled settling into the Premier League, but now he seems to be like a nailed part of Brentford and playing really well. So I think he's like a decent option to have off the bench against Southampton for a pretty cheap price. Also have Castagna as the backup in defense, and also have Mikolenko because I think Bournemouth are a team that do also kind of waste chances, and Everton are quite good defensively, so quite like Mikolenko for the cheap price as a backup defender as well in the team. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the free draft for Game Week 20. And now let's take a look at my own team for Game 20, which is not looking as good as this. As you can see, I have only 4 out of these 15 players currently in my squad, so I'm pretty far away from the ideal Game 20 team. My team isn't looking that good in terms of fixtures, as we'll get to. So yeah, let's look at my team for Game 20. And as you can see immediately, just a bunch of red flags. The bench, basically, Fabianski is out most likely. There's still no update on that. Maybe he shouldn't be red flagged, but yeah, he's most likely out. And either way, not going to start him against Man City. I think I'd rather put my chances behind Sanchez against Crystal Palace in goal. And then Bowen is injured until February. He has to go out at some point. Rodgers is suspended. I have no reason to sell him, I think. I don't think I'm going to sell him, especially with all the other issues that I have. But I can't start him, obviously, because he's suspended. Timber is also suspended, and he's most likely going to be sold. As you can see, Timber to Trent is the most likely transfer that I'm going to do. So that's most likely that's what I'm looking at doing currently. And then Cunha as well is someone that doesn't get to play. So I need to do at least one transfer to field 11 players this week. And I'm most likely going to use 2 free transfers because there are some, like both Munoz and Mikolenko are decent players to start, I guess. I did have Mikolenko on the free draft as my third bench player. Munoz against Chelsea, not really feeling the clean sheet potential there. Maybe some attacking potential because Chelsea aren't the best form currently. So Munoz or Mikolenko would have to be subbed off. I think I'm going to do Trent to Timber, and I would bench Cunha. That would set me up in a 5-3-2 formation. But I also think I'm going to do another transfer. I'm either going to sell Bowen to Sarr, or I'm going to sell Cunha to Chris Wood potentially. This also depends on price changes, because if Chris Wood goes up in price Friday night now leading into Saturday, I won't be able to afford him if I do Timber to Trent. So yeah, I'm probably not going to do that. I think I'm going to stick with Cunha. I think most likely what I'm going to do is Timber to Trent and Bowen to Sarr. That would leave me enough money in the bank to go from Cunha to Nicholas Jackson next game week, which I might do. Could also do a -4 hit, I guess, this week to bring in Jackson this week. But I sort of set a goal for myself this year to not use -4s, just to force myself basically to save transfers and be more conservative when it comes to transfers and not just use up my free transfers when I get them basically. But this time around, I have so many issues. I feel like I need to use my 2 free transfers. I'm really happy that I have 2 free transfers because that means I can do some changes, some much needed changes to my team. So yeah, Sarr against Chelsea, not the best fixture, but like I said, Chelsea haven't been the best lately, and Sarr has been putting up some really nice underlying numbers. So I could potentially start Munoz and Sarr, but I think if I do Trent for Timber and Bowen to Sarr, I would bench obviously Cunha. He would be benched for Trent. And then I would most likely bench either Munoz or Mykolenko for Ismail Sarr. I might just go and back Palace and bench Mykolenko for that game. But at the same time, I feel like Mykolenko is a slightly better option than Munoz because of the clean sheet potential. So yeah, that's going to be the main thing I got to choose between this game week. So yeah. Yeah, it's a bit jumbled. This is my first video in a while, so it's going to be a bit of a mess. But yeah, let's just go through the team one by one first before we wrap up the video, and I give you a bit of an update on myself and my health. But yeah, game 20. Sanchez in goal against Crystal Palace away. Not really expecting much. I'm expecting him to start at least. If he doesn't start, he's definitely going to be on the selling block. I think I'm going to look into sell him anyway. I really want to have another Liverpool player because they're going to double in game 25 most likely. And I think Alisson might be the play for me because I think with the good fixtures that he has coming up, the double game in 25, and just being able to sell Sanchez and get rid of him, that appeals to me quite a lot. So yeah, that's something that I'm looking to do at some point in the next few game weeks. But yeah, expecting Sanchez to start against Crystal Palace, not really too hopeful of a clean sheet, but that could happen. Crystal Palace aren't the best team offensively, but if I bring in Sarr, I most likely want him to score anyway. So yeah, a bit of a conundrum there. Maybe I don't want to do Sarr. Maybe I just start Munoz and Mykolenko and just hope for a 0-0, I guess, in that game. But yeah, Sanchez in goal against Crystal Palace. Gabriel against Brighton. Really happy with Gabriel. Don't really mind him at all. Arsenal are a really good team, and if Timber wasn't suspended, I most likely would have just kept him for at least a couple more game weeks. Because I think Timber versus Trent isn't too big of a difference, especially with the price difference. But seeing as Timber doesn't play and I really need some good players this game week, it is a pretty easy transfer for me to do the suspended Timber out for Trent. But keeping Gabriel is no issue at all for me. I'm really happy to keep him, at least one Arsenal defender, because I think they are just the best defensive team in the league. And Gabriel is the most best attacking threat player in the league as well, apart from maybe Trent. So yeah, really happy to have him. Munoz, like I said, not entirely too sure, but I could easily see him scoring and sweeping away the clean sheet for Sanchez if I do bench Munoz. So I'm a bit fearful of that. So I'm most likely going to start Munoz, I feel like, over Mykolenko, even if I do the 2 transfers. That's probably the route I'm going to take. Start the 2 Palace boys and hope that Sanchez saves a penalty from Eze or something, or from Mateta, and that gives me points. But yeah, Munoz, really good offensively minded fullback. He plays basically as a right winger, so that's why I'm quite happy with him and the team in general. So yeah, I'm probably going to start him, but I might bench him as well. Castagna, pretty easy choice to start for me. He's going to play as a right wing back, seeing as Fulham are playing with 3 at the back and playing with 2 wing backs currently. Castagna could go forward, he could score, he could keep a clean sheet, he can get a lot of points. So I think he's like a really good option this week, and I'm happy that I have him in the squad. And then Mykolenko, most likely going to be the one that I bench. Against Bournemouth, you expect them to beat Everton at home, and you expect Mykolenko to concede, and you don't really expect Mykolenko to provide anything offensively. So yeah, he's most likely going to be benched after I do my transfers this week. Salah captain, again, easy as can be, really easy choice. Palmer against Palace, I didn't have him in the free team, but I think he's still a decent option, obviously. Palmer can score against anyone and score, especially against a team like Crystal Palace, he can score 4 goals potentially. So yeah, I don't really mind him at all in the squad. I've put the vice-captain armband on Isak, though, because I do feel like he has a better chance than Palmer this week. Bruno Fernandes, basically have to just play him. Liverpool have conceded a lot of goals lately, and especially if Konate is out and Gomez is now injured as well, that might bode well for Fernandes and some potential goals for Man United. West Ham weren't able to score against Liverpool, but Man United could potentially do that. So yeah, not too hopeful with Fernandes, but it's the best I've got now. I don't really have a choice. I have to start him. I have other fish to fry, I guess. And I don't really mind keeping Fernandes for the long haul either, because I think Man United will turn it around slowly but surely under Amorim. So yeah, I don't mind keeping Fernandes for now anyway. Joe Pedro as well, not the best fixture against Arsenal. I'm going to hope that they score, obviously, because I will only have Gabriel left. So yeah, hopefully Joe Pedro manages to do something in that game, but I'm not really holding my breath. I'm not too happy with the squad in general, as you can see, because I have so many issues. But yeah, I just got to start the players that I have fit and available at least, and hope that they do something. So that's going to be the case for Joe Pedro. Cunha, most likely going to be benched, could potentially be sold. I could get Wood potentially. Depends. I'm not sure. Could feel wood rising tonight, maybe. If that happens, I'm not going to get wood tomorrow. So, we'll see what happens with Chris Wood this game week. But most likely, I'm going to stay away because I think I either want to keep Cunha or bring in Nicholas Jackson next game week. So just going to bench Cunha most likely. He's suspended, sadly. And he was also slightly injured as well. So hopefully we get some injury news with him. But probably just going to hold him for now. Just keep him and see what happens with him, basically. Isak against Spurs. That's a really good player to have. Really poor defense in Spurs. Isak was in my free hit draft as well, so he makes all the sense in the world to keep. And even potentially captain if you're feeling really frisky. But again, I think Salah is the standard captain, so I wouldn't really do that. But vice captaining Isak could be important because this game week, I haven't talked about that in the video yet, but there are some weather reports across the UK. There might be some postponements of some matches. We don't really know yet which matches that would entail. Having a good vice captain choice like Isak could be handy just in case that Man United or Liverpool-Man United game gets called off for some reason because of the bad weather and stuff. That's also another thing to have. But honestly, seeing as I have so many red flags this week, it wouldn't be too bad for me if the game week gets postponed, I guess, or some matches get postponed, because that would put a lot of people in the same boat as me, not having enough players potentially. But I'm hoping the whole game week goes along as planned, and if that's the case, I have an okay team, I guess, to weather the storm if that happens. But the bench just full of red flags. Can't really play any one of them. Most likely going to sell Bowen and Timber. That is my current plans. But I might be persuaded to bring in Wood potentially. So tell me in the comments if you think I should get Wood or not, because I'm not quite sure. He seems like the bandwagon pick, but I think that's mostly down to him getting 12 points last game week. Before that, he was kind of meh. And I think long-term the fixtures for Nottingham Forest aren't the best, especially offensively. So, I have some issues with him. I think Cunha, seeing as I want to keep players now for game week 29, which is going to be a blank game week. I don't want to do too many transfers outside of bringing in Liverpool players in that time. I'm most likely just going to keep Cunha, like I've said a couple times now. But that's my plans for game 20. When it comes to my plans for the content, this YouTube channel, like I said previously in the video, I think I am going to make at least a weekly wildcard draft video next week for Game Week 21, and also going to make the team selection video for Game Week 21. Might do the FPL Scope podcast, but there are some issues as well in terms of just logistics and stuff, because now that I have my broken arm, I have actually been living back with my parents who live in Oslo as well, where I live. And now I'm back in my apartments filming this video, but usually it's pretty easy for me to just drive here, film a video, drive back or whatever, or even if I stay the whole week here in my own apartment. But now, seeing as I live at home and get some help, basically making food and making life easier because of my arm, it's going to be a bit more cumbersome to go back and forth and make videos. So I might try to set up a nice recording place at home. The last video I recorded was at home, my parents' home. My last video recorded was from my room, but it's not really the best place to film a video and stuff. Not as much privacy as I get here, I guess. We'll see what happens. I might start living back here again, not too long, because my arm is getting better. I'm getting better and better in terms of my general health in general with the arm. I'm not quite sure what's the next few game weeks entails in terms of content. But I'm at least going to make the wildcard draft video and the team selection video, but it's going to be a bit of a logistical problem, I guess, if I don't find any solutions to what I will do with my videos. But when it comes to my arm, I had surgery on the 23rd of December, and it's basically just gone upwards from that point on. I'm getting more mobility in the arm every single day. It's going to be a long process to get back into normal health, basically, back to where I was before I broke my arm. Had a pretty extensive surgery, 2 hours. I was under anesthesia, I guess you call it, where you're basically asleep. So for me, it lasted a minute, and I woke up and I had surgery done on my arm. But it did take 2 hours to put in everything that I needed to put everything in place with my arm, basically. So quite an extensive operation. Still have some issues in terms of I have a bandage on. Stuff like showering and stuff is not as easy as it used to be for now, before my wound basically heals, because I still have an operation wound that's going to be healing, and I also obviously have the arm that needs to be properly healing as well. for the next few weeks. So that's basically the update for me when it comes to my health and my FPL channel. I'm going to try to make more content. I'm going to have a lot of time on my hands at least. So I'm going to have a lot of things to, or a lot of time to make content. So that's going to be a plus. And also my arm is going to be more readily available. I'm currently using a sling, as you can see, with my on my shoulders here. That's going to last only a couple of weeks. And I'm also going to be getting more and more mobile and more, or less. I'm going to need this sling less and less basically every single week. So soon I'll be able to do like more tasks with both hands in terms of doing stuff on the computer, in terms of making slides and stuff like that. Now I do it with one arm, and it actually works quite surprisingly well. It doesn't take too much longer compared to having both arms available. But yeah, so general health is getting better. My videos are going to get better eventually as well. There's been like a bit of a stop-start season. The start of the season, or the content in the summer leading up to Game Week 1 was a bit halted because of some issues with health in my family, and now during Christmas, which is also a nice period to get some content stuff done, I had issues myself with my arm. So hopefully 2025 is going to be better, and I hope it's going to be better for you guys as well, whether you had a good year in 2024 or not. So yeah, it usually gets better, and also I'm going to try to help you get better in FPL as well by giving you advice every single game week. So happy to be back, happy to be in better condition as well, and excited for the season ahead in FPL at least. And yeah, excited to see what's to come. So with all that out of the way, thank you for listening to all my blabbering, especially if you've gone through the whole video now. Thank you. Really appreciate all the support and love, all the nice comments that I got last video when I updated you guys on my arm, all the supportive comments. It means a lot. So yeah, really happy to have you guys in my corner, behind my back. So yeah, with all that said, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time, which is going to be next week already, with the weekly Walker draft at least, and maybe some other videos. We'll see. Potentially also the Manager of the Week video will come out next week as well. But yeah, with all that in mind, thank you for watching. As always, see you next time. Bye bye.